You are watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftatacademy.com. www.netsoftatacademy.com.
Welcome back to our MECM series. In the last episode, we explored the Central Administration Site, that is CAS. That is the top layer used in large multi-site environment. In this video, we will dive into Primary Site, or you can call it PS, Primary Site. Remember, the primary site is the workhorse of your MECM infrastructure. We will look at what it really is, how it functions, and how it differs from a CAS, and also some best practices to follow when you are designing your MECM environment. So stay tuned. So what is a primary site? Well, a primary site is a core component of MECM that is directly responsible for managing client devices, or you can say end devices. Unlike a CAS, a primary site handles client communication, store device and user data in the database. It deploys application, operating system, patches. It also pushes updates, and it also pushes the policies. In short, primary site actually do the main work here. In most organizations, the primary site is enough. That's the only site used to manage a large environment. Unless you are operating a massive environment with hundreds of thousands of computers, you don't need a CAS. So let's discuss some functions of primary site. We can start with management of the clients. Here, the primary site communicates with the client to deploy software, enforce policies, collect hardware or software inventory, and report status. We can switch to store data, where the data is stored. Here, a primary site maintains a full SQL Server database where all client data, like hardware inventory, software metering information, and compliance metadata is stored. Then we can talk about application deployment. Here, the primary site is responsible for deploying applications and also the updates in the future to all the deployed applications. Now, the application can be the MSI package, EXE package, or EXE with a custom script. It offers a lot of flexibility. Now, these are not the only functions of primary site. There are many more which you can find in MECM console. Now, what are some key differences between CAS and primary site? Let's start one by one. The first one is who will manage the clients? Well, primary site manage the client. CAS cannot manage the clients at all. CAS manages the primary site. All right, so whenever you want to manage clients, primary site will do that. Next is who will store your client data, the data from the endpoint or end machines. In this case, your primary site stores the critical client data in the database. On the other hand, the CAS only aggregates the data from all the primary sites. It just collects it in one place. But CAS cannot collect data directly from the client. The next point is application deployment, software deployment, policy deployment, operating system deployment, or any other kind of deployments. Well, this is done by primary site again. CAS cannot deploy anything. CAS only pushes, let's say, policy in some cases to the primary site. Even in this case, CAS cannot push policies directly to the end client. The next point of comparison will be your, let's say, the database requirement. Well, primary site maintains a full operational database, that is read and write. On the other hand, CAS maintains a simple centralized read-only aggregated database. In simple words, primary site have the actual heavy operational database. Your CAS only maintains a read-only centralized database for reporting and some admin work. Next comparison point is requirements, or is it crucial for your MECM architecture? Well, in this case, primary site is super critical. MECM architecture will not even work without a primary site. So you need at least one primary site that can be a standalone primary site, or you can have multiple primary sites as well. In the other case, or in the other hand, CAS is not actually required until unless you have a huge environment or you have multiple primary sites to manage from a central dashboard. So in this case, primary site is critical. CAS is required in a specific situation. So the key takeaway is that the primary site is essential in every MECM hierarchy. The CAS is only needed in a large-scale deployment. Now, how will you configure a primary site and SQL together? Well, a primary site always requires a SQL Server instance to store and manage all its operational data. Well, there are two ways you can deploy SQL for a primary site. The first one is locally on the same primary site server that is called co-located. Or you can also deploy SQL on a separate server remotely. All right? For most environments, co-location offers a simpler management and better performance because both services are running on the same server, as long as the resources are properly sized. But if you really care about disaster management, all right, and you want to maintain the highest uptime, you can actually deploy your SQL Server and your primary site separately. Yes, it will be a little bit more complex to manage, but hey, it will increase your fault tolerance, or it will create an environment which will have better uptime. Let's discuss some of the best practices. We'll start with co-location. You should try to co-locate the SQL Server with the primary site server whenever possible. It in turn reduces the network latency and simplifies the backup and restore operations. But remember, you are trying to put multiple eggs in the same basket here. You are trying to run two core services on the same server. So proper allocation of resources is crucial. You cannot starve one service for other. They must be managed properly. The next best practice is to put your thought into scalability. Here, a single primary site can manage many clients, up to 250,000 clients. So, scalability is possible, but it must be done with the proper allocation of resources. That is, you should use fast NVMe, or let's say the SSDs at least for your SQL storage, which provide you low latency, high throughput, because the data must be, let's say, moved in and out of the drive as fast as possible. Plus, allocate enough RAM and CPU to your resources as well. Plus, always, or you should regularly monitor the replication and component health so that if something goes wrong, at least you can proactively try to fix it before it turns into a disaster and downtime. That is not good for any organization.
All right, so now let's check out our primary site. If we go to our primary site console, and here it is, let's go to our monitoring and check out our site hierarchy. If we expand our CAS, you will see a Toronto primary site. Let's expand our primary site. If you see this red cross, that means the replication or the sync between CAS database and primary site database is not finished yet. And if you just restarted all your systems, then yes, it is possible that you will see this red cross for some time. But eventually, when the sync will be completed, you will see a green check mark. Now, if we go to, let's say, site status, let's check that, or database replication. Yeah, as you can see, from CAS to Toronto, that is CAS and Primary Site, everything is okay. But from Primary Site, that is Toronto Primary Site, to a child Montreal site, that is our secondary site, the database replication is still in progress. So once it actually finish, then you will see that, okay, all sites are healthy. But the hierarchy will stay like this. As you can see now, everything is perfect. Now if we go to our system status, all the components are okay. Site migration point is still in progress. Eventually, when our secondary site plus our primary site is in sync properly, this will also turn green. But if it is if it is red, then you need to look into it. So you will just right click on show messages, click all 1 day old messages, and here you will get all the information, warnings, and errors. So if you find any errors, you can also look at the error and try to fix it. So these are all the logs. Let's check the component status. All looks good, just one warning. No red cross. Perfect. Now let's go to discovery methods. Yes, everything is enabled. All the devices and users are also visible. And if we go to our administration, that is our security, again, for all sites, I'm only using one domain admin account. So this account is the one who have the full access over every server, because this is my domain admin. Plus, let's go back to administration under site configuration. If we click on site and go to our primary site and click on servers and site system role, this is our primary site, Toronto primary site. Here are all the roles installed on this server. These are all the roles. Now, if you want to remove a role, just right click on it and click on remove. It will be gone. If you want to, let's say, configure a role, you go to properties and then you can configure it. For example, this is distribution point, which is, again, responsible for Pixie server, multicast, group relationship, even content management, where you actually save all your content, that is your updates, your application, whatever you want to push, you save it here. And let's say you want to add a role. So right click on the server in which you want to add the role, click on add site system role. A wizard will open and you will see all the available roles which you can add. So you just select it, click next, configure that role, and then click next, and it will be installed on your site server. All right, so this is your primary site. The next episode, we will see the secondary site.
All right, that's a wrap on the primary site section. Now you know what primary site is and how it differs from the CAS, and also what to consider when you are setting up a primary site. In the next video, we will look at the secondary site. When to use a secondary site, when not to, the pros and cons. We will look into it. As always, if this video helped you, then hit like and subscribe for more MECM content, plus the content on many more technologies offered by NetSoft. And leave your questions in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer it. Take care.
Thank you for watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftatacademy.com. www.netsoftatacademy.com.